Welcome everybody. We are live now. There is always, every time I come on a live, there is some sort of technical issue that prevents me from having all of the things set up just right, even though I test it, retest it. Anyway, such is life. Here I am streaming on my phone rather than my nice studio camera, and using the built-in microphone on my iPhone rather than using, again, my nice microphone that I have here on my desk. So today we're talking about the Porsche 911. They just updated it. It was a mid-cycle update, the 992.2. Very familiar nomenclature if you are familiar with Porsches. However, there is a little bit of a, not so much a surprise, but some interesting things that have changed, and that is the introduction of a hybrid model. So there is a hybrid Porsche 911 now. It has a very small 1.9 kilowatt hour battery in the front in place of the regular 12-volt battery, and that actually gets moved to the rear parcel shelf. But this makes over 530 horsepower, and in theory should be more efficient. And instead of a twin turbocharged motor, they've actually switched to a single turbocharger that is electrically assisted. So it has an electric motor on the turbine, spins it up faster. So really cool. It is a 3.6 liter rather than the 3-liter turbo that we've become familiar with. And that will continue, that 3-liter turbo will continue with only 9 more horsepower, but same amount of torque. So very minor updates there. However, they have changed the look, as you can imagine, but they are going to have their hands full with this one. Here we go. We're looking at the screen now of the Porsche website. This 911 Carrera GTS is the one that has the hybrid motor. The base Carrera, both in coupe and cabriolet, are going to be out here this year. The turbo GT3, Carrera S, Carrera 4S, all that, they're going to be exactly the same over the next model year. They'll slowly roll those out. You know, Porsche's got to tease those things out, of course. So here we go. We've got the 911 GTS that's showing on the screen. This is the first of many variants that Porsche will release, and it is the hybrid motor. So this one does have the hybrid motor, the electric turbocharger, and it is a pretty cool looking vehicle. Minor changes. They do have some gills on the front that aren't my favorite, but it does have active aero. The base Carrera model, like I said, has 9 more horsepower, and that's thanks to different turbochargers that they used on the previous GTS and turbo models. So I feel like they are underrating it quite a bit, but still, I am a Porsche fan, all right? I am a Porsche 911 fan. So I am excited to see this, but at the same time, I'm a little concerned about what they're going to do with it. The GTS is available in both rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive, but I am afraid this means the end of the manual transmission for the GTS model. Not totally surprising, but the one thing that I thought was surprising is they have gotten rid of the back seats. This is not a special Carrera T model where they have no back seats. It's all Carrera models are now going to have back seats as options. Now, the turbo model still continues with the back seat. Basically all the ones that aren't going to be updated yet, those do continue on. But what better way to figure out what we like and dislike about the new Porsche 911 Carrera GTS in this case is to configure one. Let's get to the configurator and figure out what it is that we like, dislike, and of course, figure out how I would personally spec it out, and I'd love to hear how you would personally spec it out as well. So let's jump into that. So there we go. We've got it pulled up here. We've got the Porsche 911 Carrera 4 GTS. So I did pick the all-wheel drive version. And there's only two options for colors that are no cost options, and they are white and black. Now, the back seat, like I mentioned, that is going to be a zero cost option, so you can add that in, but the GTS model has jumped by about $14,000. The base Carrera model has jumped by about $6,000. So as much as people are spending on these cars, Porsche is just trying to make it just that little bit more expensive. Now, they do have some new colors here. The vanadium gray metallic, hopefully I said that right. That is honestly going to be a pretty cool color, I think. You have the Cartagena yellow metallic, which is a new color, Lugano blue, and honestly, I really do like this shade green metallic. I've seen a couple of pictures, or at least pictures from the configurator of it, and I think it is cool. I do like the new headlight design rather than having that X cross pattern thing or the four dots, whatever it is. I do like that they've done this. They've got that circular look. One thing they did get rid of here on the tachometer, it is no longer an analog tachometer. It's a completely digital display. They do put the tachometer still right there front and center, which is a Porsche hallmark. However, it's not exactly what I would say is. It's not surprising, but it is disappointing. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the thing with doing this live. You don't get your words out exactly the way you want. You can see the different exhaust here on the back end of this new Porsche 911. Looks pretty good. I do like this Lugano blue as well. If you've watched this channel before, you know I am a fan of blue in general. Guards red is a classic color. I am kind of sad that that is not a zero cost option anymore. But I think just for the sake of this video, we are going to go try this new color, the shade green metallic. Might as well check it out and spec one out that way. So standard, you do have the Carrera GTS wheels, which are going to be the center lock wheels. So they are not your traditional lug bolts. You can get zero cost options for the Spider RS wheels, but that split 5-spoke design looks pretty nice. So I'm just going to stick with that. Not going to probably do anything with the wheels in terms of color. Not going to paint them black. Then we get into the interior. Now the GTS models always have a unique interior in that um, it has the Alcantara, or Race Tex is what they call it. Now, in this case, I would love to do the red interior, but with the shade green, I don't think that's quite the move. So let's see about going to the GTS interior package with slate gray Neo. So you've got some gray stitching, gray accents here, gray belts. It's not too contrasty, which is unfortunate. I do like the contrast of, like, say, the red interior, but that is going to it's going to be pretty bold with a green exterior, I should say. So there we go. That's with the red interior. And honestly, that's pretty subtle. That's more subtle than I was expecting. So that red seat belt, the red stitching, GTS logo, I honestly don't think that looks that bad with the green. Obviously on the back end, you've got the red reflectors, and it looks like the taillights are no longer red. It was always an option to have these clear taillights, and it looks like that's, at least for this GTS model, that's what they're going with. And you do have a red accent there, so I'm going with it. GTS interior package in the carmine red. Although some of these leather interiors I think would be pretty cool, like this dark night blue. We'll save that for another day. The club leather interior, gonna skip that. I am also gonna skip the full bucket seats, which a lot of people might be disappointed in, but hey, this isn't your car, so. Gonna stick with the Sport Seats Plus. However, I will go with the adaptive ones with the memory package, 18-way adjustable. Then we are going to add the rear seats back in. Like I said, those are now an option on this vehicle. I would love to add the ventilated seats, but that gets rid of the GTS package. At least that's what it's been in the past. I'm going to try it. There we go. So you have to get a full leather package. We're not going to do that. All right, we do have the premium package. No picture of that, but let's take a look. Lane change assist, surround view with active parking support, adaptive cruise control. Man, I can't talk. Bose surround sound system, ionizer, storage net, and passenger footwell. I think 99% of them are going to come this way, so we're just going to do that. We're going to add the Inno drive with the active lane keep. Because we don't have a manual transmission option at all, let's make this a comfortable GT car. So we're going to go with the premium package. Now, you do have an aero kit available in carbon fiber now, as well as the typical painted and high gloss black versions. And I'm intrigued to see this. Okay. All right. It's not crazy, but how is it going to look with this shade green metallic? That is an interesting question. I feel like it's missing a side skirt here. I feel like also right up front, it needs to be body color instead of that black. But otherwise, it's not terrible. But I don't think it's as dramatic of a difference as it used to be with the Aero kit. Like before, when you put the Aero kit on, it was a completely different vehicle. This is not a completely different vehicle. All right, here we go. We do have some sport design side skirts. Let's add those on, see what that does. Okay, it adds a little bit of a lower skirt there, but honestly, I'm not sure if I love it. Let's see with the Aero kit. No, we have to get rid of that. So let's cancel that. I think the back end looks great without the wing. I do actually kind of like that side skirt on there, just having it painted. It does need a little bit of a painted lip. That is something I would probably have to take care of with the aftermarket, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We can't get one of these cars yet. So the rear lid grill slat inlays and exterior color, gonna skip that. I am going to do a sunroof because I'm one of the few people that absolutely loves having a sunroof. Use it at least 100 days a year, even though I am in an area where we have snow, we have rain, all those things. So gonna add the preparation for the roof transport system because why not? You never know if you want to take this skiing, you know? So we're going to keep the model designation, not change any of that. Now you do have the Porsche active suspension management, which actually raises the car by 10 millimeters, which is interesting because it is the GTS model. But we are going to add the going to add the front axle lift system rather. And then we do have sport tailpipes in titanium, which is interesting. That's a new option. $1,000 for that. You've got a little bit of a different look there, and hopefully you get that burnt titanium look. I know titanium's not the best exhaust material, but hey, it's right at the end of the system here, and honestly, I think it'll look good. Now, I'm going to stick with the standard brakes. I am going to keep the red calipers just because I've got that red interior trim. So the exclusive design taillights, like I mentioned, and usually that basically looks like what the exclusive design taillights used to be. So now it is painted in anthracite gray. The function and geometry are identical to the standard taillights. So instead of black, they're gray. I guess that's it. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the standard taillights. I'm not going to do the rear wiper because if I do the lightweight noise insulated glass, that gets rid of the rear wiper. And I mentioned earlier in that the look of the headlights, I actually liked it, that circular look, but this is the optional one, which I don't like at all, honestly. That's interesting. It's got the 4 points again, but a completely new look, and I don't like it. But dealers are going to push that on people, and that's what it's going to be, unfortunately. Now, if we put the interior trim inlays in like the exterior color, I don't know if that's going to be too much of that green in there, so I'm not going to do that. Let's see what else we have here. We're not going to do much in this way. We've got the Porsche Crest headrest. No, we don't want to do that, even though I just clicked it because it gets rid of the GTS interior package. So I'm not going to do that. Not going to do the painted inlay or any of those options there. I am curious about the colored seat belts, just the colors they offer, but unfortunately it's not going to let me see that without getting rid of our interior package. Now, like I mentioned, there is no manual transmission, at least that we've seen so far in the GTS model. So just going to stick with everything that we've got here. Going to the interior options, and here you can get into some crazy different interior options. Not going to do that. Not really going to add many of these. Basically, I'm going to make whatever Porsche dealer who got this order upset because they want to see the big money, big ticket options. But if you notice, we're already over $200,000. I just looked at that. $200,055. That's a lot of money. That, yeah. And this is not a turbo model, not a turbo S. This is just a GTS model. Does have that new hybrid system, which does add about 100 pounds to the vehicle. However, it more than makes up for it in the extra power and is the first Porsche 911 non-turbo model to reach 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. That's the way Porsche describes it, at least. Obviously, Porsche tends to underrate their cars in general, so that is where we're getting that information, not necessarily the best information. But there we go. That apparently is it. $202,635. That is how I would spec out my Porsche 911 Carrera 4 GTS. This new hybrid version. You've got the Carrera GTS interior package with carmine red seat belts and stitching. I did add those rear seats back in. Added a few things there at the end there, like night vision assist. Again, we're making this a GT car. If we can't get a manual transmission, let's make it more GT-esque, but then also be able to have it be a track car on occasion. So this shade green metallic, I did add those side skirts. I think that looks really nice. But what do you think of my Porsche 911 Carrera GTS? What do you think of the Porsche 911 Hybrid being all new? And what would you do differently on this? Thank you for joining me on this live today. But until next time, I will catch you on the next video, and you should be hearing some more information about some of my projects soon. Catch you on the next one.